What is the interview process like for most data science / data umbrella roles?
For 2 months, I had applied for 700 or 800 applications, got 1 or 2 calls, and then they were like, "You are an immigrant, we can't sponsor you." So I did my master's in UConn in business analytics and project management with a major in data science. It was around 2000 August 2023, and then right now it's at 50,000. It was very intimidating coming from an electrical background as a fresher, as an immigrant to a different country.
For anybody planning to come to the US for their masters, is that a generally safe recommendation to have at least a year or two of work? And do you have a recommendation on which coding platform or tool to use to get better at SQL or Python and all the other technologies you mentioned?
Gather as many contacts as you can when you're not desperate, and then use it when you are desperate for a job.
What was your placement experience like? I feel more people should be okay with considering hiring private coaches or private mentors. Welcome to the Ready Set Do podcast, where we discuss journeys of not experts who are just 2 steps ahead of us. I'm Naman Pandey, and in this episode, featured not expert is Sai Kumar. Sai is the lead data analyst at Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. Coming from an electrical engineering background, Sai not only managed to get into a top business analytics program at the University of Connecticut, but also break into his current position without having any work experience whatsoever. I believe anybody that's currently in the job market can immediately appreciate what a gargantuan task that is. And Sai breaks down for us the exact strategy that he used to succeed. He also shares his secret sauce for networking effectively, something that has seen him grow to over 50,000 followers on LinkedIn in just over a year. In keeping with our theme of learning from somebody that's just 2 steps ahead of us instead of an expert, my goal with this episode is to highlight Sai's incredible journey that led him to his breakthrough job and what you can learn. This is the Ready Set Do podcast, and to support it, please subscribe to the channel. And now, my dear friends, here's Sai. Sai, welcome.
Hey, hi Naman, how are you?
Doing very well. Really appreciate you taking the time today to share all of your expertise, not just on data science, but the amazing community that you've built on LinkedIn and that you are continuing to build every passing day. I feel like your posts are just automatically always on the top of my newsfeed, and it just tells me that whatever you're doing is definitely working because the algorithm, from what I gather, loves to boost your stuff. So maybe we can begin by that. What made you start to post on LinkedIn, and what was the initial motivation behind that?
So my content creation journey started a year ago exactly in August 2023. So it started with a small motivation of giving back to the community. And because during my job search, a lot of people have guided me and then mentored me because I was new to United States, I was new to corporate world, and then I was an immigrant. So there were a lot of constraints around me which I needed to navigate. And then mentorship has played a very important role during my job search. I started creating content, and then I created my top mate profile, started helping out people whenever they reached out to me. I set up a 30 minutes Google Meet with them to help them in their job search journey, like say what kind of tools to use, just like making some minor changes in their resume, like letting them know what worked for me, what didn't work for me, where they can go to, like what are the people that they can reach out and they follow and then they can rely on. So it all started with small motivation of giving back because I got helped by a lot of people during my job search. So that's the main motivation, and then later on it continued.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you started, you said August of 2023. Just for context, how many followers did you had at the time, or what was your reach like during those days?
So I had LinkedIn from 2017, to be honest, and then I haven't used it until 2022 December because I
Gotcha.
didn't sit for placements back in India, and then I didn't needed a job
Right.
back in India, and then I came to United States. I wanted a job a semester before, so that's when I started using LinkedIn. Like after coming to United States, so I started using in December, mid of 2022. And then by the time I was in job market, I had like 1,500 followers, around 1,000 connections.
Got it.
And by the time I got job, it was around 2,000 because I was connecting with a lot of people, asking for referrals, connecting with alumni and everything.
Right.
So it grew to 2,000. It was around 2,000 in August 2023, and then
Okay.
right now it's at 50,000. I reached
Right.
it like
That's what I was getting at. How does that happen in a year? That sounds astronomical to me. So how did you manage to grow that quickly?
yeah. So to start with, I've started in August 2023, and then I used it to post twice a week until few months, and then it has increased to 3 to 4 times. But then from the past few months, I've been posting at least once a day or sometimes twice or thrice a day. But it wouldn't cross more than 12 to 13 per post. But then all of them are scheduled. But it's about the consistency and the time you dedicate. You don't have to work 20 hours a week on your LinkedIn content creation. So spend 30 minutes a day or 1 hour a day, like on writing your post, scheduling it, and engaging with other creators is something that has helped me. So it's always give and take. So you like someone's content, you learn from it, tell them what you have learned, tell them what they can add, or if there's something wrong, point it out, and then everyone's learning. So it's a process.
True.
So it's all about engagement, like creating quality content, and then and being consistent. That's the main important thing. A lot of people miss it. So I think I've been consistent, but that's one thing that has helped me. And then learning from other creators, connecting with them, hopping on a call with them, understanding their journey. So what has helped them in their content creation journey, what didn't help them. So asking both pros and cons so that I don't have to repeat them again. So a lot of people have helped me during the journey, and then I've been on few podcasts, connected a few competitions and webinars. So all this put together have helped me in reaching this milestone.
Amazing. Yeah, really appreciate you sharing that. I had heard about briefly about how engaging with other creators can really help, you know, boost up your profile as well. But it's really helpful to, kind of have you validate that. What did you go to your master's degree for, and where did you go to college?
So I did my master's in UConn in the field of business analytics and project management with a major in data science.
I see. So I'm assuming but you said your background was in electrical engineering. So do you mind talking a little bit about how you made that switch and like what were some considerations that you referenced in your, admit letters or your statement of purpose, etc. Because that's kind of a big switch in my mind to go from electrical all the way to, data science.
Yeah, that's true. So I was in my third year of my bachelor's, and then I wanted to go to United States from long back. So I was preparing for my SOPs and LORs for my electrical background. I wanted to do masters in electrical until the end of third year, and then I applied for few universities, got admits in electrical also for masters in electrical, and then I had to take a course called SQL and then a course called machine learning because I didn't know what they were at that time, but they were not optional, so I had to take them. So I took them, and then they were very interesting. I was good at math, so I was able to write queries, understand the math behind the algorithms in machine learning. So then I was doing some research on YouTube, like what is data science or what is machine learning, what is data analytics, and everything. And then it seemed like it aligned with my goals. Like as I mentioned, I was good at math. It's because of my father, so he's also very good. So I got it from him. So then I thought, okay, let me give it a try. Let me try data science. I canceled all the admits from electrical and then started applying in data science. But I took a few months gap. Like I graduated August 2021, but then because my profile wasn't aligned to data science at all, and except those two courses, I knew I wouldn't get admits. So I took 3 to 4 months gap. I came in spring 2022. So in these 2 to 3 months, I have done few projects, done few courses and certifications, just so that it boosts my profile. So I added those in SOPs and LORs and applied for 6 to 7 universities, and then I got in all of them except two.
Cool. Wow. What were some of the courses that you did and or certifications that helped, boost your profile for that?
At that point of time, there was this company called Internshala
Yeah,
back in
right.
India.
It still exists, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah, it is still there. So I
Yeah.
did data science certification in that, and then few certification like free certifications from Udemy, and then watch
Hmm.
few videos from YouTube to understand what is what. So
Got it.
certifications from Udemy and Internshala have helped me a lot in boosting my applications and also the projects, and then my SQL course and machine learning course back in Amurtha.
Awesome. That's so cool that you were able to, take this leap of faith and jump outside into, uncharted territory and, get that done. So, can you talk a little bit about your master's experience? So you're now studying very in detail concepts about this thing that you've only just learned. You've only done a couple projects, have probably a kind of a brief-ish understanding. Was that intimidating at all once you were in your master's degree?
Yeah, I'll be honest. It was very intimidating coming from an electrical background as a fresher, as an immigrant to a different
Right.
country, culture shock. So the first few days or few weeks, I would say it was like haunting experience, the jet lag, cultural shocks, and the prices, not to mention, coming from India to United States. So all these were like initial struggle, like every masters, every immigrant has would have faced these struggles and then will face. So and then later on, I understood that, like, because I had my friends, they were amazing, and then we had each other, like they were supporting, they were experienced people, so I had good support from them. So I got through my master's journey because of them. And then I was very bad at cooking, so they were there to help me out. And coming to academics, it was completely new, as I mentioned, like except from the few courses and internship that internship thing that I have done, but that has given me some basic foundation. So in the first
Right.
semester, I had taken 5 courses, like again SQL, predictive modeling, project management course, and everything. But then I didn't have part time uh, in my during my
Mm.
first semesters. That's one of the advantage and disadvantage. So since I didn't have part time, I didn't have enough money. I had to take from loan. But then since I didn't have part time, I used that time to learn new things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we my all my friends were like into academics, and then they were very good, so all of us, we started participating in competitions and hackathons. So
Nice.
that has helped me a lot in boosting my profile as a fresher. So like my masters was filled with enjoyment, vacations, competition, hackathon,
That's
everything. It's
amazing.
not
Yeah.
biased.
Yeah, no, I love what you said about the importance of having good peers because I agree 100% in that. Most immigrant students' experiences, I feel like, are shaped more than by just that one factor, which is peers, than anything else. So, totally agreeing with what you said. Like, if you have a good, solid bunch of people that you can trust to not only grow with academically, but also, have fun with, have engaging conversations, learn more about the new place that you're in. There's so much new that happens when you first come to the US, right? Everything's new. It's like you could stop at any street and look around, and it's like, wow, this is unreal. Like, how did I even get here? So, can totally relate to that. What was your placement experience like? So once was your course a 1 year or a 2 year course?
So it was flexible. I could graduate in 9 months, 12, 15, 18, or 24.
I
So
see.
I graduated in 15 months. So I
I
started
see.
in Jan 2022, graduated in May 2023.
Interesting.
So I took courses in my summer also, in my first summer,
Makes
because I
sense.
wanted to graduate early. Because I came for spring, I can't do an internship in
Hmm.
the fall for sure. So I was like,
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do in summer. So I can't go to India. It's been only 3 months. So I'm like, let's take courses. So all of us took courses in summer. We took 3 courses. So all of us graduated early.
Awesome. No, and 15-month feels like the right balance because I think 9 is probably too less, if anything. And 15 is a little bit more, yeah, a little bit more paced out. So once it was time to apply for full time, etc., what was that entire experience like for you? How many, roughly, obviously, I know there's no way for you to remember for sure, unless you are one of those, tracker people, which I respect a lot, but I could never do that. But yeah, how many places did you apply to? How much success did you have in terms of your applications? And then how you ended up at your current role at Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Yeah, it wasn't easy. It was difficult, I would say, for sure. I wanted to graduate in May 2023, so I started applying in December 2023, like last week of December 2023 or first week of Jan. So I started like 5 months before I graduate. So the first 2 months were very difficult. So like as I mentioned, I didn't apply for a job. I didn't sit for interview back in India. So everything was new. I had a 2 page resume, and then like how Indians we have 2 page resume. It's okay in India, but then here it's not okay.
Yeah,
For at least for a fresher, it's not okay.
true.
So I had my career coaches in university, so I set up calls with them. So they told it should be 1 page, and then they gave me some initial tips, and I changed my resume, and then like took their suggestions, and then they also mentioned the importance of LinkedIn. So I even got a professional headshot by the university, so changed headline, everything aligned with the data analytics and everything. But then I was new to applying for jobs. Started applying. I was nowhere for 2 months, like just applying 10 jobs every day, 20, 30 every day. So for 2 months, I had applied for 700 or 800 applications. I was like, got 1 or 2 calls, and then they were like, you are an immigrant, we can't sponsor you. And then that was it. Then there was nowhere. So then I started to seek mentorship from people on LinkedIn, and then I found few places. And then few people were hesitant. A lot of people were hesitant to uh, guide or mentor. So that's when I thought, okay, this is not going to happen. I had to spend money, so I hired a private mentor for me.
Cool. Awesome. How did you find this person?
So it was on pre-placed. So and then I also had few career coaches that I paid money for.
Got
So
it.
for like my resume review, and then someone from data science, someone from recruiting background. So I had two people helping me, and then I met with few people in the industry, my alumni also. Like I asked them what helped them, what didn't help them. Again, same thing, pros and cons. So then I started tailoring my resume to the role that I'm applying for, like including all the key skills. And that's when I got to know importance of referrals. So I started seeking referrals from alumni, people I met on LinkedIn. And then, as I mentioned, I participated in a lot of competitions and hackathons. Still, I mean, I still am in touch with the judges of the competitions and
Cool.
hackathons. So I got referred by them. And then my professors, they have been like very helpful. I knew few professors very closely, and I still talk with them. And then they referred me at their companies, they referred me at their spouses companies, and then their families. So they have been really helpful. And in the next 2 months, from March to May, I applied to around 400. I took my time to apply and then reach out for referral. So then I had gotten around 20 to 30 calls, but then few of them I was fresher, rejected. I was an immigrant, rejected. So I had few interviews set up, and then I got this one finally.
Wow, yeah, I mean, I can almost relate to that to some extent, obviously, but it does sound like you went pretty much all in. But no, but I respect that. I honestly feel like more people should be, okay with considering hiring, as you said, private coaches or private mentorship that can individually or custom apply for you. Like because a lot of the advice that we get, especially on LinkedIn and elsewhere, is, I mean, obviously it's good advice, but there's almost an element of that. It's like 60% of that advice is only applicable to me. The other 40 isn't really as much. So to have an expert guide us through that entire process obviously can be very helpful. My
Exactly.
my
To
follow up to
add
that.
on,
Yeah, no, please
yeah.
go ahead. Yeah,
So to add on that, you're already spending 60, $70,000 on your masters.
that's so
You're
true.
spending extra few $100. Don't
It's
back on
nothing.
that.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's nothing when you
absolutely.
compare with your $60,000.
Absolutely. That's a very good point. And the site that you use, you said it was called preplaced.com, or
Yeah,
okay,
replaced.
gotcha. I'll be linking that in the show notes for anybody that wants to check that out. And obviously, I'll link your top mate as well because I realize now you're on the other side of the table and can and are obviously willing to help and continue to help. So I will do that. My follow up question to what you just laid out, your experience around those times is um, based on what you know now, after being in the industry for almost a year and having helped so many other people walk through those similar journeys, what were some things that you wish you knew at the time? I know you referenced a few of them, such as importance of optimizing your LinkedIn, tailoring your resume to keywords, etc. Other than that, do you remember any other, big realizations that you had around that time that, oh man, I can't believe I wasn't doing this this whole time and I should have. So any
Ex-
call outs in terms of the application process specific?
Yeah, I do have few regrets also. So to
Perfect.
start with,
Let's go.
first one would be LinkedIn. So the best time to search for a job is not when you're desperate. The best time to search for a job is when you're not desperate. The best time to network. So I wouldn't say job, the best time to network, because let's say, take my situation. I was graduating in May 2023. I started networking in December 2022. So 5 months before my graduation. Obviously, I would be desperate because if I wouldn't get a job, I would have to leave the country. If I started networking when I came to United States like a year ago, I wasn't desperate for a job, so I can meet a lot of people. I don't have to text them for referrals. I can ask them for guidance and then
Right.
set up a call. A
It's
lot of
way
people
more
will be
organic
interested.
like that.
Exactly. You can ask people. You text 100 people, you get at least reply from 30 to 40. Whereas if it's a referral, you might get only reply from 5 to 10 people. So the best time to network for whoever's watching this video is now, like when you're not desperate for a job. So gather as many contacts as you can when you're not desperate, and then use it when you are desperate for a job. So that's one thing that I've been doing this past 1 year. So connecting with a lot of people. So that's one biggest regret. And then I
Yeah,
learned it the hard way.
right. For sure.
And the other thing would be work on your projects and your communication skills too. So it's not just about your technical skills. So it's always the combination of technical and non-technical skills that sets you apart from the crowd. So then there are some things that are out of your control. Let's say like you're giving your 100%, but then your competition is giving 101%. That's not in your control. If you have 5 years of experience, if your competition has 7 years of experience, that's not in your control. But what's in your control is to give your best and then stand out as much as you can. But there are things that are not in your control, but don't be hard on yourself.
That makes total sense. What was the interview process like for you? And I guess to maybe reformat the question, what is the interview process like for most data science slash data umbrella roles? We'll just treat that as kind of a broad spectrum because I know there's a bunch of different things within data science. You can have data engineers, data scientists, all of those are different. But generally, for the most part, under the data umbrella, what does an interview process look like?
So yeah, for entry level, it starts with a recruiter call and then hiring manager round, probably 1 or 2 technical rounds, and then salary negotiation. This
Okay.
is for not FANG companies. Obviously, for FANG companies, you would have 6 to 7 rounds and then technical coding and everything. But even for non-FANG companies, you might expect a coding round sometimes, or take-home assessments, or live coding, or like product sense, depending if you're working for a product directly, you might expect product sense company, product role, case studies or experimentation questions if you are applying for product analyst roles. So probably maximum of 4 rounds. So it wouldn't cross 4 unless the role requires it or the interviewers wants to interview you, or if they have more number of applicants, they want to filter, they have more constraints, or like if they're unable to figure out who's the best candidate. So that's a problem. So
Makes sense.
not more than 4.
Cool. And then can you speak a little bit more about the specifically the technical rounds, what goes on in those, especially the ones that have coding and also the ones that are just, verbal technical types, like what sort of questions are asked? What's the best way to prepare for those?
So coming to technical ones, so if it's a data analyst role, you can expect questions on SQL and a visualization tool like Power BI or Tableau or Looker, and don't fight on which one to learn. Learn one of the tools. The skills are transferable, and obviously Excel. It won't be mentioned in the job description, but you are expected to know Excel for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely.
And then having knowledge of Python would set you apart, and having knowledge on cloud tool like AWS, Azure, or GCP, same thing. You don't have to fight on which one to learn one of those, you're good, the skills are transferable again. So understand these theoretical concepts in depth and practice as much as you can, because theoretical knowledge is different from practical knowledge. So only when you practice, you'll get errors, and then you'll figure out what's happening and then how to overcome that error. For technical rounds, SQL is must and should. Like you might not use SQL at work, but then your interviews will have SQL for sure.
I see. And do you have a recommendation on which coding platform or tool to use to get better at SQL and or Python and all of the other technologies that you mentioned?
Yeah, I have 3 recommendations for that. First one would be Lead Code, obviously. So SQL and Python, they have amazing questions like segregated into easy, medium, and hard. And then the next one would be Dataford. It has SQL questions from top companies like Amazon, like all the companies that you can practice. It wasn't there when I was looking for job. I mean, I didn't know it wasn't. I didn't know that it was there. But
Got
the
it.
other one I used was Interview Query. It's amazing too. It has SQL, Python, even case studies like product sense, experimentation, A/B testing. So it's very good for data analytics and data science roles. So I would recommend these 3. And there are other websites like HackerRank, and to learn you can use W3 Schools, Geeks for Geeks. So and amazing tools right now. Like I see a new tool every day right now with the rise in
Okay.
AI and then rise in competition. So
Yeah, we'll be talking about AI in just a little bit, but um, so I guess on that same note, my final question would be, um, and I know this can be kind of a tricky one, but I'm just trying to wrap my head around what is the good number of hours that somebody can aim to sink into this prep, including all of those sites that you mentioned, aside from reading about the theoretical aspects, all of it, blah blah. But yeah, what's that rough ballpark number before which somebody can probably feel fairly confident about their chances at cracking a data interview?
once you feel that you're confident with the theoretical part, let's say SQL, Power BI, Python, or cloud, or any tool that or tools that you require for your target role. So start practicing every day. You don't have to practice for 10 hours a day or like 5 hours a day or 100 questions per day. Keep it small, practice for 2 to 3 questions every day, but make sure you're consistent. So don't practice 20 questions a day and then rest for a week, and then 30 a day and then rest for 2 weeks. So make sure you're solving 3 questions, one easy, one medium, one hard every day, but do it for 3 months. Same with
Makes
one,
sense.
3 from SQL, 3 from Python. Maximum 2 hours per day or 1.5 hours per day. More than enough. 30 minutes to 2 hours per day should do, but make sure it's consistent. You're doing for 2 to 3 months, and then you'll feel very confident. Like when you compare yourself with a 3 months, like your version of 3 months before, you'll feel more confident, and then you would have faced a lot of errors, and then now you would know how to overcome those, because you can expect questions on those during your interviews too, like edge cases, like what would you do if you get this error, how would you resolve it. So you might expect questions also, but if you hadn't practiced it, you wouldn't have experienced that error and you wouldn't answer that question. So it all goes back to
True.
practicing every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, I mean, not to trivialize your experience, but it feels like 3 months isn't really that bad, Like it's because you didn't even come from data science. Like you were an electrical engineer, not having the strongest base that most of your peers, would you say, were from like computer science backgrounds. Is am I right in assuming that?
Yeah,
Right. So if you could do that in 3 months, that honestly is a very welcome sign that anybody out there that is at least that had a bachelor's in computer science or a related field probably will find it, hopefully easier than you did. So that's just
exactly.
a call out that I wanted to make. Cool. And then what was your experience like working in America for the first time? And actually, did you have any work experience in India at all, or were you a complete fresh?
I wish I had experience back in India. No, I'm
Why do you
complete
say that?
fresher.
What makes you say that?
So to answer that question, I got few rejections. Like I had two companies rejected me in final round, saying that you performed well, better than your competition, but then your competition has 2 years of experience. So that's why we had to
Ah,
go with it.
man,
So that's like I did
that's tough.
pretty
Yeah,
well than them in the interviews, but then they had to choose them because of experience.
that's
And
so
then
tough.
that's one reason. And then I got rejected for few companies in the initial round, saying that I didn't meet the initial criteria of 2 years. So,
Gotcha.
and also, if I had worked, I would have known how corporate world works. I came without experience, but knowing that would have helped me in articulating my answers in a structured way. Maybe my job search would have been easier, but I don't regret it now because I made it. But then I still wish I had worked for a year or two back in India.
Got it. So, eh, for anybody planning to come to the US for their masters, is that a generally safe recommendation to have at least a year or two of work ex before they fly out here?
Yes. If you're working in a different domain, it doesn't matter, because let's say if I had
Right.
worked as an electrical engineer for two
It
years,
wouldn't have
it
mattered.
wouldn't have it. But then if you know that you're gonna do masters in, say, mechanical engineering, if your work experience is also in mechanical engineering, it's perfect. Work for 2 years. You know what the industry is expecting, what the corporate is expecting from you. You know how to handle stress situations, how to answer, and then everything. You'll be in a better position than a fresher like me, for sure. So if it's relevant, come with experience. But then if not, it's okay. But then make sure to spend extra. You have to spend
Mm,
extra hours every day, or like
for sure.
until you get job. So I would recommend it. But even if you want to come as soon as you graduate, that's okay. But then it's gonna be difficult when you compare
Right.
with someone with experience.
For sure.
So
And yeah, it just helps to know what you're signing up for. Like we're not trying to paint any rosy picture here. We're just kind of telling it, how we understand the things are. How did you deal with that though? That sounds very, I don't know. So like if I made it to the final round of an interview and the company was like, you did great. We have no reason to not hire you, but we're still not hiring you because you don't have. I would be pretty frustrated. I'm just very curious to like learn how you dealt with that because that's just not ideal.
yeah, it was difficult, but then I had to take it, because if I it was difficult for few days, but then I had to move on, because if I hadn't moved on, it would waste my time, and then it would still delay my application process. So it was a hard decision to take in, to digest it, but then I had to, as simple
Yeah.
as that.
No, yeah, that I respect that. That totally makes sense. What was it like when you finally got the offer letter from Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Yeah, it was like an amazing experience because it was my first offer letter, but I did get a few fake offer letters before that.
Oh, fake offer. What? Do you
Yes.
mind sharing more on that?
So what happened was I got an email from a company, and then I saw the company, it was there, and then but the email was a fake email. I didn't notice that. They sent me a questionnaire. It was related into data science and data analytics. So I thought it was genuine. I answered all of them, and then I sent them back in a Word document. And then 3 days later, I got the offer letter directly. And then I was like, what? And then I thought it was genuine first, and then I was going through offer letter, and then they were offering me around 140K for a fresher, and then they wanted to reimburse my expenses too, personal expenses.
Mm,
Who would reimburse my apartment rent and my groceries? No company would do that.
yeah.
So these were some red flags, and then I rejected that. And then the another experience, it was on call too. So I got the call, I sent them the answers, and then I had an interview on video call, and then I got the same offer letter again from a different company.
Oh, man, that's so tough because I'm sure you would have spent at least some time preparing for that, screening call, that interview. It's just such a waste of your time. That's the part that makes me really like angry. Not the fact
Exactly,
that they tried to scam you, because obviously yes, anybody would read the offer letter and figure out that this is not
exactly.
genuine, but you won't get that time back. So that's really unfortunate. I wonder why they do that. Is it just to like extort money? Eventually, you pay them money? Like, how does that work exactly?
So during, like, when you get an offer letter, make sure to read it from start to end, or like proofread it. If you have some trustworthy person, like ask them to proofread it. So find out the red flags in that. And then when they're asking for sensitive information like SSN, your passport number or bank
Oh,
details,
I see, I see.
that's when you figure out that it's fake. Like no company would ask your details before onboarding, I think so. So like when there's a red flag, make sure to cross check it with the person who's working in that company first, and then sign it. So I would recommend that. And I think they're doing it because the market is bad, they want to take advantage,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
scam as many as they can.
right. Identity theft, I'm sure, is a
Yeah.
booming business in some nook and corner of America. I mean, it probably has to be. Do you mind talking a little bit about the work that you do at Blue Cross Blue Shield? If obviously if you're not supposed to talk about it, I get that, but I'm just curious as to what you do there.
So I could give a high level understanding of what I
That
do.
works.
So
Yeah, that works.
yeah, so I basically work with premiums and claims, like mostly how much money we make, how much money we lose in terms of claims, and then
Interesting.
in what kind of regions we make, and then what kind of, like, say which state are we making more money, and then which state are we losing more money, and analyzing which agent has gotten us more premium. And then we also have this policy of sending them, I think I don't have to say this, but yeah.
I just wanted to get a flavor because of my next question, which is that what are some tools and technologies that you use on a daily basis?
Yeah. So I use Excel, SQL, Power BI, and AWS, and also Power Automate. I didn't know what
Perfect.
the tool was until I joined, but then it's a game changer. If you hadn't tried it, try it.
I
Uh,
actually use it almost every day at my
Good.
work also. So
I
that's
love that
really
tool.
it's a funny coincidence. Yeah. No, yeah, same. It's so great. Yeah. It's really, really well done.
Yeah, and I didn't know Power BI until I joined. I learned Tableau, to be honest, and then I got this question in interview. So they were like, "Do you know Power BI?" So I told them, "I know Tableau, but I don't know Power BI. The skills are transferable. This is what's common between these both. These what's and difference between these both, and that doesn't make any difference. I can learn it in no time." So they were fine with that. So don't fight with on what to learn.
Makes sense. And are they so I'm fairly familiar with Power BI. I've never even seen what Tableau looks like. For the most part, would like are they actually that similar? Like is it not a big learning curve at all if you know either?
Yeah, it's very similar. Like the UI is different, but then the concepts behind the graphs, like which graph to use at what time, they're
Right.
very similar.
So measures, views, all of that are kind of just the
Yeah,
same.
the syntax might be different, but then the skills are transferable. You can learn in, like, if you know one tool, you can learn the other tool in few days or at least a week or two, so it shouldn't matter. So but then let the interviewer know that you know this, the skills are transferable. But then if you don't tell them what you know, they'll never know that. So that's extra tip.
Makes sense. In the year that you've worked, what are some data related tips and tricks that you've learned that you wish you knew when you first started this?
So attention to detail, like data cleaning will take up most of your time. So analysis will only be like 20 to 30% of your time. The most time that I spend is on data cleaning, gathering data
Interesting.
from different sources, cleaning it up, removing duplicates. Whereas in our projects, we spend most time on analysis, whereas making beautiful dashboard with amazing formats, amazing graphs, advanced graphs, and everything. Whereas at work, a simple graph would do. So it's all about storytelling. The simpler, the better it is. Whereas when we are doing our capstone projects or like our personal projects, we want to do advanced work to showcase in the interview that we can do this. But whereas in the industry, it's all completely different. You spend more time on data cleaning, data gathering, whereas analysis only takes 20% of your time. And then
Yeah.
when you're cleaning the data, make sure that you're cleaning it in the right way. That's during my first few months, it was I did make few mistakes, but then my manager had one odd ones, and then he mentioned like things that I need to take care of, and then it's a learning curve. You learn, and then he has been very really helpful. So you learn with time, and then you don't have to learn everything before you start. You learn most of it during your work, but then you need to know some things to get that job for sure. But then you learn more than anything during your job. So
That's
these are
very
few
true.
things.
Have you ever considered or do you know about Alteryx? Because that's what I use for the data cleaning part of things, and it really helps speed up the entire process for me, especially if you're doing similar types of data cleanings for multiple different data inputs that may be coming recurringly across weeks or months. But you just need to kind of set it up once, and after that, it's just like clicking one button. Have you looked at that at all?
No, I have heard of Altrix because we used it when I was for my capstone project back in
Oh,
masters for few days, or for part of my project we used it for project. But then at industry, I use Excel and SQL to clean the data mostly.
makes sense. Yes, I mean, I would see if your manager can, get you an Alteryx license or two because, like, trust me, it is a complete game changer. And obviously, this session is not sponsored by Alteryx. It actually has no sponsors. In fact, if you're looking for somebody to sponsor, please reach out to me. But yeah, just as a side note. But yeah, I can highly recommend Alteryx for any of your data pre-processing needs, be it filtering, cleaning. It can pretty much do whatever Excel does and much more, but like in a way more simpler and automatable format. It's kind of like in Power Automate for Excel, if that makes any sense.
Yes, yes, it makes. I use Power Query to automate most of my work.
I see. Yeah, no, that's actually like exactly the equivalent of Alteryx, but
Okay.
Alteryx has a UI. It's like it has like a drag and drop interface where you can drag tools instead of like doing that. But it's really actually in principle the same. So maybe you're
Got
not
it.
missing out on as much. Um,
Yeah.
Cool. And then I wanted to talk just a little bit about AI and how we can use, if there are any AI tools and such that maybe, say, if somebody is a student right now from a data science or data related degree, would you say there are any tools that it makes sense for students to learn right now that would help them not only in their job search, but also once they get hired, they would be able to produce more work, be more efficient? Have you seen anything like that at all?
For job search, there are a lot of AI tools, but then for the work, I haven't seen any AI tool because I work for
Okay.
healthcare company, and then there are a lot of
Oh, I guess
security
that makes
issues.
sense. You're right. I should have figured that before I asked that question. Yeah, I should have known that you won't be allowed to, yeah, do that.
So coming to job search, the job search is pretty easy right now, but getting the interview call is tough. But then searching for a job has changed a lot in the past 1 year with the Chat GPT, Gemini, and Microsoft Bing. So a lot of tools to automate your job search. Like to start with, you have Career Flow, which saves your job description. And fun fact, I got an interview at one company, and then I didn't have job description to prepare because I went on company website and then they removed the role. I didn't know what to prepare for. I joined the call and then I got rejected. That's when I started saving job descriptions, and that's how I found Career Flow, which could save my job descriptions. So never
Okay,
miss saving your job descriptions. So
got it.
and simplify. Use Simplify to automate your application filling process. All of us know how much time it takes to fill the same application from your resume to Workday or any other ATS format. So you Simplify, you fill in once, it takes care of the rest. So and F1
Interesting.
hire. if you want to know if a company sponsor, if you're an immigrant, and then if you want to know if a company is sponsoring, use F1 Hire. They have amazing features. And also, I mean, there are like a lot of tools right now. Like, you just simple Google search, career flow, job scan, resume worded, simplify, teal, F1 Hire, consulting. My god, like lot of tools which can make your work easier. And there are tools which can apply jobs for you too. Like, if you take scale.jobs, they can apply jobs for you, given your resume and then your target role. So explore as much as you can, invest that time, like use AI to make your search easier, but use the time to learn something new instead spending on Netflix or Prime. So use that time to learn something so that your work can be automated.
I love how you were just able to rattle off all of those like 10, 12 names and like they're just things that everybody knows about and I had never heard of even a single one of them. So all of those sound really cool. I actually had no idea such a thing existed that will apply to jobs for you because I feel like that right there is already a game changer. So I'll be obviously going through all of the tools that you mentioned and linking all of them in the show notes for our listeners, first of all, for me to check out. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that, and I'm honestly kind of blown away by how well versed you are with with that type of stuff. Really, the last kind of segment that I had here for you was you referenced earlier that you use TopMate regularly to help so many of those people that reach out to you. I'm curious in terms of just, I guess, distilling your know-how just a little bit. What are some of the commonly recurring patterns that you've seen that people need help with? So it can be around resumes, it can be around how they prepare for interviews. But have you seen any like repeated patterns across different people that struggle from a certain thing that you've been able to help them with? And you would be willing to share here for our listeners?
So mostly I get questions around everything from end to end, like breaking into data. It starts with that, and then preparing their resume, optimizing their LinkedIn, preparing for interviews, and then communication skills, technical, non-technical, pretty much everything. But one of the uh, main questions would be getting calls, like how to get more calls, because a lot of people out there, they have amazing talent, they can crack the interviews if given an opportunity. But then getting that opportunity has been very difficult these days with the competition in the market. One thing I often tell them is, when if you're a graduate student in United States or any other country, if you're a student, reach out to your alumni. They are working at amazing companies at amazing positions. Don't hesitate to reach out, seek their help, ask for their referrals, ask for their guidance. And your professors, if you're at a university, your professors, most of them would be working part time, or they already have industry connections, or they would be working full time in a company. So they know what you are. They have seen you for a year or two or a semester. So seek them for referral. And anyone, if you find someone interesting on LinkedIn, or like find interesting people, use the search bar. It's gold mine. So search for data scientist, data analyst, or software engineer, whatever your target role is. Find people, put on filters, reach out to them. So like, one thing that I've learned the hard way is, so if you won't reach out to any person, you wouldn't get rejected. Only if you get rejected, that you would know that you're not getting help. But then, let's say someone else has reached out and then they got help and then they got the job, you would have the regret. Maybe if I had reached out to that person on that day, I would be the one interviewing and then I would be the one getting the job. So don't have that regret. Reach out to the person, get rejected or get ignored. At least you will not be in that dilemma. If you get help, they'll give you a reply, they'll guide you, they'll refer you, they'll help you in the interview process. But send that message, get rejected or get ignored. That's the golden rule.
Very, very interesting call outs there. Make that, yeah, and that makes sense. It's like the saying, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. Like you need to ask for help in order to get help. And yeah, if the worst thing that can happen is a rejection, sure, there's
Exactly.
absolutely nothing. Yeah, especially given the best thing will legitimately change your life. Like you get a new job and you don't have to worry about anything for like hopefully you don't get laid off and such. But that's obviously a
Yeah,
different
that's another
different
thing.
conversation. Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Best
And
case
then
is you get a job. Worst case is you lose 2 minutes of your life.
exactly, exactly. Very true. And any interview specific related pitfalls that you've seen people go under, be it because of communication or lack of expertise. I guess the lack of expertise we already addressed, like they can go to all of those tools and resources that you shared where they can practice and get better. But in terms of communication around data science, do you have any call outs there that you've seen, any success stories that you want to call out where a student reached out to you for help and you were able to solve that problem for them, and that way students that are listening to this will know to reach out to you for that if they're going through that same issue.
So to start with, get mock interviews for sure. Like you're learning you're getting theoretical knowledge by taking courses in your university or like Udemy, Coursera, or any platform. You're learning theoretically,
That's a
and then
good
let's
one.
say you're
Yeah,
practicing lead code, but you're getting practical experience. But then you're never getting experience of giving an interview. So that's what sets a candidate from, like, you might have amazing knowledge, but then if you can't articulate or put it in a structured way, you might not express it, and then the interviewer might not understand what you're trying to say. So get as many mock interviews as you can. It can be free, it can be paid, or it can be your friend. So, or it can be stranger on you found on LinkedIn. So get that mock interview, like get that fear out. So that's one thing that I've noticed in a lot of my calls. Like they have never given an interview, so they don't know how to talk in an interview. But getting mock interviews, it can be expensive sometimes, or you might have to spend some money. But then it's for your future. It's for your job. It's end of the day. You've spent a lot of money. It wouldn't hurt to spend some extra money. But if it's difficult, let them know that this is my situation. Most of you people will be happy to help you, if not everyone. So reach out, ask for help, and get rejected or get help. So that's one thing I would say. Mock interviews has been very helpful for me, and then a lot of people. So, and yeah, I still talk with a lot of people, and then that's one thing I tell them. Like when I talk with them, I understand that they haven't given any mock interview, so, or like they haven't had any interview experience. So I tell them to reach out to people, like different people. Don't get interviewed by the same person
right.
unless if it's paid, or if you know them personally, or if they're an expert and then they're your mentor, it's okay. But then try out with different people so that you get exposure.
Strangers obviously would be preferred over somebody because that's the nature of an interview.
Exactly.
The actual interview will not be taken by somebody that so makes sense to practice like that. Those were all the questions I had, Sai, that I wanted to get your take on. I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time today to walk us through not only your journey but your incredible experience that you've accumulated over the years. I honestly, for one, I actually had no idea that you were switching into data science, which is, in my mind, one of the hardest fields to break into. From an electrical engineering background and having gone to engineering school in India, I know how just completely different it is. There's like absolutely no overlap between what you must be doing now and what you used to do back in the day. So really, it's a testament to your adaptability and how malleable you must have made your brain to be able to pick up all those things. So really appreciate that, and obviously also appreciate the amazing know-how that you share on LinkedIn and elsewhere. So really thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I mean, it's a pleasure to, like, yeah, I can't put it in words, but then it has been a great journey in the past 3 years. United States has changed me a lot, and then if you are coming, it will change your lives too. So it can be difficult, but it will be worth it. It will be difficult. It will be worth it.
Absolutely. I should just name this episode title that. But yeah, thanks again, Sai. Cheers. That brings us to the end of episode 23 of the Ready Set Do podcast. Thank you all for sharing these conversations with those that continue to benefit from them. If you would like to support me, the easiest way to do that is by subscribing to my YouTube channel and or leaving me up to a 5-star rating on Spotify. For any feedback, guest nominations, and any general thoughts, my YouTube comments section is always open. I read every comment and I'm grateful for everybody that drops comments there. Catch you all in the next one. New episodes every Wednesday.